Devendra Amatya is a research hydrologist at Center for Forest Watershed Research, Forest Service based in South Carolina. He has been involved in and led multiple coastal forest hydrology-related projects studies, particularly related to water balance and evapotranspiration. He's currently leading a multi-collaborative NASA project on enhancing eco-stress product for codifying ecosystem evapotranspiration and is petitioning for the key southern U.S. forests and collaborating in a AFRI-supported project on longleaf pine restoration for southern forest sustainability and resilience towards a process-based understanding of ecosystem services. So with this, I'm going to invite Dr. Devendra Amatya to give us the talk.
Thank you, Yin. Thank you very much. Good morning again. This work is work in progress from the two projects Yun just mentioned. That project supported by NASA, as well as NASA Ecosystem Project, as well as the AFRI project for the major pine species that are being managed in the southeastern U.S. So again, the topic of my presentation is multi-approach assessment of seasonal evapotranspiration of a coastal forest watershed under longleaf pine restoration. I'd like to acknowledge the co-authors of this talk, Oishi and Gisan, who is in the audience over here, from Forest Service, and Gabriel Sine, whose talk you have already seen yesterday, from USDA, and Henrik Haas, Auburn University, and Daud Hamidi, Durham University, and Sudham Supanda from University of North Georgia. So this slide shows this primarily the extent, natural extent of the native extent of the longleaf pine and loblolly pine in the map in the right side. So again, this longleaf pine restoration is a large forest management initiative in southeastern U.S., primarily because of its resilience to wildfires and droughts, multiple ecosystem services, including the carbon sequestration, particularly the particular interest is of the water yield, primarily because of the reduced evapotranspiration. The studies for which have been done mostly on plot and stand scale that the longleaf pine have generally reduced water consumption and at the ecosystem-wide possibly reduced evapotranspiration that can help in increasing the water yield. In yesterday's forest session, Guy, my colleague, who already showed some of the data on how the water use and other ecophysiological parameters between longleaf and loblolly pine differ with the increased evapotranspiration from the loblolly pine versus the longleaf pine. So some plot scale studies already exist showing the decreased evapotranspiration from longleaf pine compared to the loblolly pine. And one reason for that is, as you can see in these pictures, longleaf pine by ecosystem-wise has more open canopy, less stand density, meaning that lower leaf area index, potentially lowering evapotranspiration and making more water for recharge and eventually the water yield. In contrast with the loblolly pine stands generally with the opposite, thick canopy, high stand density, higher LAI, potentially with high ET and lower water yield. My colleague, Dr. Jamie Nettles, yesterday already elaborated some on how heterogeneities in the vegetation in these systems differ at the ecosystem-wide. Plot scale are different from when we look at the watershed or ecosystem-wide, particularly the heterogeneity of the vegetation, heterogeneity of the soils, and other characteristics that may eventually reflect in the total water yield when we look on the larger landscape scale. But however, there are only limited water scale studies that have shown whether there is actually increase in water yield because of the longleaf restoration. Although such type of assessment could be done using hydrologic monitoring or distributed large-scale watershed scale modeling, as well as the most recently, the remote sensing approaches. All these three methods could be used to assess on a larger land scale whether by restoring the longleaf pine would increase the water yield in the larger landscape in the southeast US. The interest of the OpenET, in my opinion, in this case is being so much of this, the longleaf pine restoration with open canopies, not being very uniform vegetation, that high-scale resolution of the OpenET models may be able to depict some of those ET-related parameters and ET itself in that high scale to, to describe the soil moisture and water yield that could be used in constraining the ET component in eco-hydrologic monitoring a large-scale watershed scale, distributed watershed scale modeling to answer the question on the water yield. So, in order to understand that, this is a preliminary work again to assess this, to make a preliminary assessment of the ET of the watershed that is undergoing restoration as one of the case study site over here in South Carolina to looking at it to paired watershed, one treatment watershed where restoration is going in another control watershed where we use the multiple approaches including the two remote sensing models to estimate the evapotranspiration at the Santee experimental forest in South Carolina. And the same evaluation we quickly also looked at the preliminary assessment, particularly with the two remote sensing ET models for the ability to detect or assess the treatment effects for the clear-cut area for regeneration on ET of the watershed under the longleaf pine restoration and evaluation made using the eddy covariance flux ET, which we assume is a combined water losses from canopy evaporation, transpiration, and forest floor evaporation. The study site is one of the multiple, or say 15 study sites we are using this NASA-supported EcoStress project to assess the evaluation of ET and their components. So this is an ongoing process, ongoing work. So this study site, when I say paired watershed, is a control watershed with a mature longleaf, mature loblolly pine next to it, hardened stand, and this is the treatment watershed in the pair where the restoration is occurring. In the sense that in this treatment watershed, before the longleaf pine restoration occurs, there are several silviculture operations take place for making the room for the longleaf to plant and grow in this space. So both these watersheds are about 1.5 square kilometer in area, and they have been intensively monitored for rainfall, weather, stream flow, water table, soil moisture, leaf area index, soil water properties, and we are looking particularly this set of data set because the eddy flux covariance towers were established only sometime in May 2022. So this is only data set we have, and so that's why it's a preliminary assessment only. And for the treatment-wise in this watershed, to make room again to plant the longleaf pine, the key treatments that occurred on the watershed as a site preparation was partially harvested in this area, partially thinned in this area, and in other places there were selective cutting. This is the normal silvicultural operations of the national forest they do for the restoration works. And so we have eddy covariance tower for this mature forest over here, and also second tower over here, the shorter tower on the clear-cut area. And with NASA's EcoStress support, we are already adding additional towers to understand the ET mechanisms on the thin area, the selective cutting area, and lower ED covariance towers also on the riparian areas on both the watershed. So this work is still under progress. I'm quickly showing some of the results that we have. So again, sorry. So this is already done, sorry. So what we are measuring here for the analysis is, again, eddy covariance tower on this mature forest. You can see the tower above the forest canopy versus the shorter tower in this harvested area with few trees here and there, because with the management of national forest, you cannot completely clear cut the stands depending upon the some other issues of the trees, for preserving some habitats like red cockaded woodpecker is the one key habitat that needs to preserve. So if we say this is a clear-cut area, there are still few stands here and there. There were some of these trees may be obstructing the energy balance, and even though we call it completely clear-cut. So we are using these couple of methods, precisely method that fits into this empirical evapotranspiration method that includes a soil moisture, fill capacity as a soil water budget method for the stand scale, and a watershed scale ET as a residual with equaling to rainfall minus stream flow and change in soil moisture storage. This will give the water budget method of the ET for the control watershed with a tall tower, where we assume that the footprint may be as much as about 1 kilometer at maximum, whereas for the shorter towers, the footprint of the EC flux may be around 100 to 200 meters. So in terms of these, for this watershed, we have another ongoing study looking at a distributed micro hydrology model. We also brought in to see how the hydrology model can predict the ET of this clear-cut area compared to this empirical method, water budget method, and then to this remote sensing method, MODIS method, and CBOP VIRS method, and OpenET is also 30-meter scale CBOP Landsat also brought in. But unfortunately, Ecostress L3ET product is still not available for this site. We are working with the NASA Ecostress team to get the data soon. And I don't have to dwell much on this here. You all are very familiar with this, this MODIS as well as this CBOP models that Gabriel has in-depth explained about this. The ET is computed at ET fraction. It's a simple two-source energy balance model that fits with the two parameters, with the land surface temperature and the TC parameter, which uses the Penman-Monteith-based evapotranspiration here for alpha for reference ETR. So I'm using here, first of all, this CBOP model, and for a brief other assessment of the effects of the clear-cut and the ET, or protein, the OpenET-based this CBOP Landsat on 30-meter scale also. So start with some data on these micrometeorological parameters from these eddy covariance towers, temperature, soil heat flux, net radiation, and the precipitation PET. And eventually, the net radiation on the full canopy forest stand is much higher than the clear-cut stand that you saw before. With the soil heat flux, it's a little bit opposite. When there is this is from June 22 to July. July 22 to June 23. So the middle part is the winter season, and on either side of the center is the summer growing season. So growing season part, net radiation is very high compared to the treatment. High on the forested control watershed, which is 80, and 77 is the clear cut for regeneration site and potential evapotranspiration. Eventually, also much higher on the forested watershed compared to the treatment site. So we did both these EC flux towers again. This is the green one is for the control watershed with the mature forest stand, and again the blue line for the soil moisture is for the treatment watershed. Eventually, treatment watershed, with no tree canopy, almost negligible canopy interception. More water, infiltrated water provides higher moisture on that one compared to the mature forest where ET can be higher, which we are seeing here. The second plot is for evapotranspiration, much higher on the tree, this control watershed compared to the clear-cut site. Eventually, in the cumulative basis, there's about, in every 6 months, each of 2022 and 23, about 240 millimeter lower evapotranspiration on the clear-cut site for the regeneration where trees have already been planted in this site in the spring of 2023, and those trees are still small seedlings, so we cannot see here. So now going back to the next plot, we looked at this how this, this multi-approach based ET comparison within each watershed vary. Again, this is for within the watershed. This is not the whole watershed. For a clear-cut area of the treatment watershed, we can see compared to the AD covariance, these are these McShee model prediction. This one is the soil water budget method, and these last two are the remote sensing products like MODIS and CBOP based method. So the highest prediction or largest prediction was by the CBOP, followed by the MODIS, and two other methods were in close agreement with AD covariance for predicting the ET for that clear-cut area. Same way for the control watershed, the errors were much larger because this is, in my opinion, is both most likely due to scaling effects. Because as you go to the full control watershed, mature homogeneous forest, the errors, this is the AD covariance, the errors that you think you see, difference with AD covariance and these MODIS and CBOP were smaller than what you otherwise saw in that smaller, clear-cut area of the treatment watershed. So when we look on the paired watershed basis, again, 80 is the control and 77 is the treatment. See, the AD covariance tower was able to pick up the 33% reduction on ET on the 12-month basis compared to the control. So the soil water budget method was able to pick up about 29% closer to the measured ET, and MODIS was able to pick up about 25% with the very smallest error being picked up by this large 1 kilometer scale CBOP weights. So what it is depicting is that CBOP model probably, because of this crude spatial scale, cannot depict this, cannot pick up or detect these treatment effects with that type of scale of the remote sensing product. Now on the mean monthly basis, the same way, in the mean monthly basis, this is the mean monthly ET from AD covariance, and again, from all those 5 methods, McShee hydrology model, soil water budget method, and MODIS and CBOP. And there are large errors you can see by the CBOP again on the mean monthly basis, and that error substantially again reduced by half when you look on the this homogeneous forest control watershed without any treatments. So if you look at all these statistics here, for the treatment area of the watershed 77 versus the full control vegetated, the stand on watershed 80, those errors and biases are almost half on the control watershed versus the treatment watershed. And these errors are much larger than Volk et al. Paper. John yesterday talked about these errors, and so these 50% bias, both an absolute and relative bias, are very, very high compared to what for the natural forest reported and mixed green forest reported in the Volk et al. Paper. So when we look at these biases, same way we can see this monthly modeled ET versus EC flux ET. The slope of close to 1 was found for SMP ET and McShee, but the slope of 0.52 for CBOP Wills and slope of 0.77 for And same thing, biases were much reduced for control as we showed in the previous plots also. If we look at the seasonal variability, the beauty of this is that both these remote sensing methods were able to follow the seasonal pattern of this monthly evapotranspiration, both on the treatment and control. Again, with the control watershed, it was doing better than the clear-cut area. So one interesting thing here is when we looked at the this is data provided for the CBOP from 2018 to the latest data here. So what we are looking at here is compared to the clear cutting. Looking at this data, but after the clear cutting, whatever we saw the differences in ET, the CBOP weights was able to pick up only 4% ET reduction on these paired watersheds. But whereas the modest ET for the same period was able to, it's a 500 meter scale versus 1000 meter scale, was able to pick up 10% ET reduction. And same thing when we brought in here Landsat, SSC, BOP, CBOP, ET on 30 meter scale, it was able to pick up larger ET reduction because of this finer temporal, spatial scale. So the spatial scale plays a big role in detecting these effects of the silvicultural operations on these watersheds. In summary, again, this is a very limited 12-month data. This is the first type of initial assessment with remote sensing products done on this site. We are working with a lot of other products here for our NASA EcoStress project as well. But anyway, the take home from this preliminary assessment is all remote sensing models predicted the treatment effect yielding lower ET compared to the control, with a landslide CBOP producing much higher error than other due to scaling effects. But less accuracy for forest was also reported in Work et al. Paper. We saw that yesterday. Each method, however, had its own limitations and uncertainties. We understand this eddy-flux itself has some errors in energy balance closure, as well as net radiation, as well as the wet canopy interception discussed yesterday is about 10 to 30%. And these remote sensing products similarly have their own some errors. And we still believe that these remote sensing based ED products, no matter what product do you need, it needs ground truthing for accuracies to determine, but with a bias correction with the CBOP for homogeneous forest and OpenET 30-meter CBOP Landsat probably could be used for a treatment areas that are in those areas where the small scale effects should be detected and to well describe the effects on soil moisture. And this information will also be useful for distributed watershed scale hydrologic modeling like this WASI, SWAT, MIXI for the large scale assessment of the longleaf pine in southeastern US with the ET that translating into the water yield. And with our EcoStress project, where we will be using this existing model PT, JPL, and this LXE that the Young described yesterday for parsing ET component together with Landsat and other hydro block SMAP products. Thank you.